There are 3 settings that I turn off immediately every time I open a new instance of VS Code. Let me tell you what they are. Welcome everyone, my name is James Quick and I do weekly videos on web development related topics. And if you've watched any of the channel in the past, you know I've done a lot with VS Code as well. I love VS Code. I love almost everything about VS Code. I use VS Code every day. If you're watching this video, most likely you use VS Code every day, but that doesn't mean that it's perfect, or it doesn't mean it's perfect by default. So there's a few settings that I turn off immediately anytime I get a fresh install of VS Code, and I figured I would show you what those are today. And what these revolve around is 2 of them are for space in my editor, and I'll show you some additional things you can do to save space in your editor. And the other one is something that I think VS Code shouldn't have set by default ever. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so I've got open a project here. This is actually the source code for the compressed.fm website. Compressed.fm is the podcast that I run with my co-host, Amy Dutton. If you're interested in more about web development and web design, go and check that out. But this is the source code. It doesn't really matter what's here. It's just having a piece of code open in VS Code to show you these settings that I turn off. So the first thing that I do is you notice this thing over here. It's called the mini map, and it gives you this ability to kind of quicker scroll through your files. And it could be really helpful for really big files. So if you notice, like I would have to scroll a lot more just like physically with my mouse. To do it with the bar over here, I have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page versus this. I'm just kind of scrolling in this area. So it's a faster scroll. And this could be nice, but I really don't need that myself. So I've got a mouse wheel and I could just scroll through these. I wonder if I don't know if I have like a huge file in here. Probably these are very like well organized and split out. So it's not going to be a great example, but we'll stick with the one that I had. So just scrolling through here, I have no problem using my mouse wheel. So I'm going to go into settings with command and comma. On Mac, it would probably be control and comma or Windows key and comma on Windows. Check that out and let me know in the comments. And then I can just search for the mini map. So this is something that I turn off immediately. So if I go back to my page, now that's gone. Notice I have just a little bit more room here for my code. I just don't need the mini map. So if I don't need it, it might as well not be there. Now, the other thing I do is if I start looking inside of like nested folders, there's this idea here of the breadcrumbs, and it'll show you like what function I'm in if I'm in a function, and then which file that is in or which parent directory that thing is in as well. So if I click on this, here's this function, and if I click outside of here, I could expand the breadcrumbs, and it shows me I'm in the individual newsletter function. Or excuse me, now I'm even confused how breadcrumbs work. This is why I don't use them. If I go into nested pages, into components, this should show me the parent tree. Actually, I guess it's just within the file itself. So there's one function. Here's the prop types, which doesn't really show me much. And then if I expand this, it will show me like all the different things that are in here. See, breadcrumbs confuse me. Anyway, I have no need for that. I never find myself like super confused about what function I'm in and what file. Like I can see the file name here. So I never use that. So again, I just get rid of this to save a little bit of space up here. So let's go into this and search for breadcrumbs. And breadcrumbs enabled, we'll just disable that. So now I've got a little bit more room up here and a little bit more room over here. Now this last one, and I'll show you a few extra ones that you can use to save some space here in a second. But this last one is one, I don't know why it is what it is by default. It's always frustrated me. It's the one thing that like, if I were to pick my number one thing of I just get rid of, this is it. So if I look at opening a new file, if I click on these 2 different files, did you see what happened? And you may have never changed the settings. So this may just be normal for you, but if you single click a file, it opens in like a preview mode. It opened like a soft open for me is what I call it, but preview mode is what VS Code calls it. And that means that like if I click on another file, the previous file that I had open goes away, which I don't like at all. So what you can do is you can actually like double click this file. Notice it went from italics to regular. Let's show that again. So if I one click, it's italicized. If I double click, now that thing is regular, which means it's going to stay open if I click another file. But notice this one by default is italicized. So if I click on another file, actually if I soft click another file, that one will go away and it will switch open for the other soft open, whatever. Anyway, so I really dislike this like soft open thing. So I think it's enable preview for the files. I just go ahead and get rid of that. So anytime I open a file from VS Code on the bar on the side, I want that thing to be open. Like I want to have that there. Did that actually work? Enable preview. Oh, this is rename. Maybe I did the wrong one. Editor enable preview. Let's try this again. Let's close this. One click. No, that's still not it. Which one? Oh, we want to disable this preview, I think is what it was. Hopefully we did this right now. Yes. So one click, this thing opens and it's here to stay until I close it and I use my Command W to close that thing. Now I said there'd be a few extra settings I would tell you about inside of here. So let's go to the workbench and appearance. And so there's a few things in here you can do to save yourself some space if you don't need them. The activity bar is the little set of icons on the left over here. I leave this because I click on them occasionally. I am pretty good at my shortcuts to get between some of these different tabs, but if I needed one of these down here, I don't know the shortcuts for every one of them. So I leave that open. Let's see, what else do we have in here? The sidebar location. This is something like I'm probably going to experiment more with. I've done this before, using that on the right versus left. A lot of people do that. The status bar is the thing at the bottom. So if you get rid of the status bar, that little thing goes away. Status bar can be nice. So there's some things in there that you can obviously see. The last thing I'll show you if you're really just trying to save some space is Command Shift KV. Nope, that wasn't it. Let me actually search this before I mess something up. So this should be Zen mode. If you're looking to completely, oh, actually I need to look in shortcuts. Let's search for Zen mode there. So toggle Zen mode is Command KZ. So if I go into a file, Command KZ or Command K and then Z, there we go. Just gets rid of everything. So you could toggle in and out of that pretty easily as well if you're looking to save some space. Anyway, those are a few settings that I turn off immediately in VS Code every time I get a new install. I'm wondering, are there any default settings that you don't like in VS Code? Let me know that in the comments below. Also, if you're interested, I have a VS Code cheat sheet that you can check out and get some tips and tricks for how to use VS Code better. I'll leave a link to that in the description below for you to go and check out. I'll link that up here as well. So anyway, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, all the standard, stereotypical things. I'd appreciate it. I hope you come around for more videos in the future. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll catch you next time.